The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on Tom's Radio Toronto are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of Tom's Radio Toronto or its staff. These broadcasts are presented and made public as entertainment and general information only, in the hope that they will be entertaining and informative to listeners. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or mitigate in any way any disease or condition or to promote any specific lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice, nor is the information presented necessarily accurate or verifiable.
Nagbabalik po ang ating Balitang Bayan News at 4. Ito pa rin po inyong kababayan, kaibigan, at siyempre katropa pips, Mondatol. At siyempre po tayo po magkapasalamat muna sa lahat ng ating mga healthcare workers na patuloy pa pong nagbibigay ng pag-asa sa ating lahat, na lahat po ay may katapusan. Ayan, kaya nilang tapusin yung COVID-19 na yan. Of course, they could do it. We could do it. Everybody could do it. Alright, sa ating pong mga latest news, eto po, kanina sinasabi ko, Ontario extend stay-at-home order for an additional 2 weeks. 2 linggo na naman. Mai-extend. Deadline Toronto, May 13, Ontario Premier Doug Ford has announced that the province-wide stay-home order will be extended for an additional 2 weeks, saying the move will help deliver the most normal July and August possible. Make no mistake, he says, we're not out of the woods yet. He said during the news conference this afternoon, as much as we're seeing a decline, which is good, everyone is moving forward. We're getting the vaccines into people's arms, but we just can't risk it. Just having there, we aren't asking a lot, just a couple more week, Ford said. The order will now expire on June 2. Ayan po, a full month longer than what was announced in April when the measure was introduced. Chief Medical Officer of Health Dr. David Williams said that while the province's daily COVID-19 counts are coming down, Ontario has a way to go. Our ICU numbers have backed off. That's encouraging, but if you look at the numbers now, we're about where we were at the peak of the second wave, Williams added. The province logged another 2,759 infections today or Thursday, the 4th day in which case numbers have remained below the 3,000 mark. Williams said earlier this week that the province would need to see daily COVID-19 counts below the 1,000 mark before significantly loosening restrictions under the stay-at-home order. All non-essential businesses must remain closed, and residents are required to remain indoors unless leaving the residence for an essential purpose. Moreover, and contrary to the advice of many public health experts, outdoor recreational amenities like basketball courts and golf courses also remain closed. Well, you know what? I was wondering why even golf courses are being closed. It's the safest, I think, place where people, only two were playing in in a game, of course, with a distancing. Yeah? So, social distance golf courses, it should not be closed. As far as I am concerned, as far as I am concerned. You could close tennis court probably, but golf course, wow. I also played golf before in the Philippines. And even here, putting, of course, is my game, not the whole 9 holes or 18 holes or 36 holes. No, that's too big for me. Only putting is what I am into. Well, in a tweet, moreover, and contrary to the advice of many public health experts, sabi nga, golf courses are closed, basketball courts are closed. Oh, paano? Why? If there is only 1 or 2 people shooting balls. Huh? In a tweet published shortly after the announcement, infectious disease specialist Dr. Isaac Bogoch, who sits on the province COVID-19 vaccination task force, expressed frustrations with the decisions to keep these areas off limits. It's still frustrated about limiting outdoor activities though. These are safe and should be encouraged. Well, parehas kami. Dr. Bogoch and I have the same feeling about closing all these golf courses, tennis courts. Anyway, the province has previously said that it hopes to have at least 65% of adults in Ontario with one shot by the end of May. And talking about Premier Ford and his brush off with the Prime Minister. All right, here is the latest news. Prime Minister Trudeau says Doug Ford continues to play politics. This is what about? This is for request for more border restriction. Well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says he's frustrated and disappointed that Premier Doug Ford continues to call on Ottawa to enhance restrictions at the borders without providing a specific request for what Ontario would like implemented. Well, Trudeau spoke this morning and said that the federal government has stepped up to reduce international flights coming into the country and has been open to work with Ontario to enact further restrictions. Well, I find it kind of frustrating and disappointing that the province is still trying to point fingers. Pointing fingers, you. Well, there's no, however, we are there to continue to support Ontarians through these difficult times in whatever ways are necessary. It's just unfortunate that Doug Ford continues to play politics. Of course, the pandemic is about politics. Who could say no? It's yes. Remember, they were trying to find out what kind of vaccines they're going to buy and from what country. They will be paying billions of dollars just to get this vaccine. Politics. Anyways, on yesterday, Ford sent another letter to Trudeau saying he is disappointed that no response has been provided to Ontario's request to tighten measures at the border to reduce COVID-19 variants from coming into the province. To date, there has been no action on any of these requests and no indication that anything is coming. Ford wrote. However, Trudeau noted that he spoke with Ford and other premiers 2 weeks ago about implementing more specific limitations at the border but never received details from Ontario about who to apply those restrictions to. Whether it's international students, whether it's temporary foreign workers, whether it's essential workers, whether it's compassionate workers, we said, let's work together and we will tighten those numbers. Trudeau said, they never told us. We started working with them the very next day. They still haven't said what categories they want to restrict, how they want to reduce international arrivals, Trudeau said. Ford's latest letter comes after weeks of back and forth between Ontario and Ottawa officials. After Ford's initial letter in April, 2 subsequent letters were sent last month by Deputy Premier and Health Minister Christine Elliott and Solicitor General Sylvia Jones. The letters pointed out 3 requests for enhanced measures as the border, including 1, reducing incoming international flights to lessen the spread of COVID-19 variants, 2, mandatory PCR testing for all domestic air travelers entering Ontario, and 3, mandatory 3-day hotel quarantine at federally approved hotels for those who come into the country at the land border. That's what I am explaining. I was explaining a while ago in my Balitang Bayan na alas 12 o 12 noon. Marami naglalakad pong mga visitors from the US border crossing, especially there at the Niagara Falls. They will walk for several hours crossing the long bridge there, and upon reaching the Canadian side, hindi na po nag-hotel yun. Di na, papahinga lang doon. May mga pahinga doon. And afterwards, dumarating na yung mga sundong mga sasakyan eh. That's what Ford is trying to explain to Trudeau. Let them be quarantined in a hotel-approved hotels. For 3 days, that's what they are doing for those passengers arriving in Canada through airlines, by plane. What is not understandable there? Hindi ba naiintindihan? Tagalogin natin. Baka marunong ng Tagalog yung Prime Minister. Sabi nga, sabi ni Doug Ford, i-quarantine din yung mga naglalakad lang. Yung tatawid ng border. Malay natin pagtawid nun kahit pinawisin niya, kung talagang may daladalang variant yan o kaya talagang, may tama, may ama, chika nga, i-quarantine mo naman. Walang panuntunan ganun yung sabi nila, pag nakatawid na raw sa border, dahil tinignan na sa American side, tapos sa Canadian side, nakita na nila, okay naman ang temperature ng katawan, 36.5, mga ganun lang, 37, approve yan. Wala namang iniindan sakit. Wala naman sintomas. Di palakarin. Naglakad. Pag sinabing palakarin, sa Tagalog, ibig sabihin, frog. Frog din yan, di ba, DJ? Palaka, di frog. Alright, yung pong sinasabi ni Doug Ford. Hindi ata. Saka mandatory PCR testing. Ibig sabihin, swab test. Swab test ka. Bago ka pumasok ng Canada, swab test ka. Pagdating mo dyan, na-swab test ka, okay ka. Meron naman ngayon ginagamit yatang rapid testing. You take how many minutes or hours? 1 hour at least to 3 hours. Alam mo na resulta, pero hindi naman daw very effective yun May sumesemplang din sa ganun. Iba talaga yung dadalhin sa laboratorio 2 to 3 days bago makita resulta. Hindi ba? Mas maganda nga naman yun. Alam nga namang, pag tines ka ngayon after 1 hour, palagay ko, nangyayari ang mga kababayan. Of course, I'm calling the attention of some of our Canadian officials as far as immigration is concerned. There are reports now that some countries are selling results of swab test. Even if airline passengers, they have not undergone swab testing, but they will be having with them a certified test result negative in their names. How? Rather, the question is how much, not how. They're selling it. There are confirmed reports now in the Philippines, they were able to get one. Filipino was trying to sneak out of the country going to Middle East to visit the husband. And she admitted that she paid for that. She was not able to get through the legal ways of swab testing. Kita nyo. And here, sabi ko in Ontario, there are reports that I received that some students that came, foreign students that came from India, were able to come here, bringing with them the legalized document that they have been tested negative for swab testing. But they were laughing with each other. I did not undergone testing, but look at my documents. We could secure it for a certain amount. It's too costly, but my goodness. Well, the federal government also imposed more limitation at the border on April 22 by suspending flights from India and Pakistan for at least 30 days as cases, specifically the B.1.C17 variant of global concerns, continue to rapidly spread in those countries. Last week, Canada's Intergovernmental Affairs Minister Dominic LeBlanc responded to Ontario's letters and said Ottawa has not received any formal request about what action Ontario wants implemented at the border to curb COVID-19 transmission. In Ford's latest letter, he noted that 40 domestic and 24 international flights that landed at Toronto Pearson International Airport in the past 2 weeks have confirmed COVID-19 cases on them. Ford reiterated that since there is currently no testing equipment for domestic travelers, passengers who were possibly exposed to the virus are able to move around the country while potentially being infected. Existing measure at the border, an area of federal responsibility, failed to keep variants of concern out of Canada. These variants entered our province through our borders and as a result have had devastating impact on our communities. Ford wrote, I asked some friends of mine working at the Pearson Airport kung meron sila dun talagang mga ginagamit, mga testing requirements, yung sabi ko, binabaril yung noo. Dati wala raw eh. Wala silang gamit doon. Kasi nga naman daw, na-test na sila sa kanilang mga sariling bansa bago pasakayin sa aeroplano at paliparin ng Toronto. Hindi po enough yun. That's not enough. Sabi nga natin, marami pong nangyayari. There's fraudulent ways of securing those swab test documents. They should be strict here in Canada. Papanigan ko to. I'll side up with the Doug Ford in this. Particularly those coming from the area wherein the land, the border. Ano ba naman yung higpitan nila? Is there any problem doing that? With just PCR testing, body temperature, everything. That's what they were doing before a passenger aboard the plane. They could do that also in the borders, land borders. If they could not do that, close it. Close it for 2 weeks to 1 month. Anyway, the border has been closed for so many months now for non-essential travelers. Kaya talaga naman dapat mga essential lang naman ang pinararaan dun Nagdi-deliver ng pagkain, ng mga products, ng mga gamot. Alam nga naman pigilin mo yun. Pero kapag hindi mo naman tinignan yung mga nagdadrive dyan, todas ka. Lahat na yun. Pati yung kargador, talagang tinitingnan yan. Baka nakakalusot. Sige, matulog ka muna dyan while trying to look at the documents. Well, Ford here has the right. He is the premier of the biggest and well-populated province in Canada, Ontario. How many millions do we have here in Ontario? 9 million? Malaki ito. And besides, Toronto is here. Ottawa is here. Ayan. Ano pa bang gusto ng Prime Minister? I used to side with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. But on this aspect of being strict in the borders, I will side with Doug Ford. Doug Ford, go, go, go. All right. Well, GCQ, ito rin. GCQ, nasa NCR Plus, simula Mayo 15. Ayan. Kahit nabawasan na ang COVID-19 patients. Ayan. Ganun din sa Pilipinas. Well, sasailalim na sa General Community Quarantine o GCQ, ang National Capital Region Plus, simula sa darating na Mayo 15. Ito ang inihayag kagabi ng Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte matapos apurbahan ng rekomendasyon ng Interagency Task Force or IATF. Gayunman, ipatutupad dito ang heightened restrictions, lalo na ang pagkapatupad at pagbabantay sa health protocols. Magugunitang naitala ang bahagyang pagbaba ng bilang ng tinatamaan ng virus at ang pagluwag ng bed capacity sa mga pagamutan. Good for you, mga kababayang Pinoy. Kahit po rito sa Ontario, bumaba na rin ng konti. Ang naaapektuhan. Pero yung pong mga ICU bed saka po hospital, handong pa rin eh. Malalaman ko lang bababayan na talagang mababawasan pag nalipat na si Tita Cecil dito sa Greater Toronto area. O, di ba, DJ Ricky Q? O, pag nalipat na si Tita, maluwag na rito. O, bababa na tayo. O, wala na extension yung province-wide lockdown. Anyways, magugunitang naitala ang bahagyang pagbaba ng bilang ng tinatamaan ng virus at pagluwag ng bed capacity sa mga bagamutan. Samantala, kailangan pa rin maipatupad ang mahigpit na protocols. Binalanse umano ng Pangulo ang pangangailangan na mabuksan na rin ang ekonomiya sa gitna ng pandemya. General community quarantine na rin ang sigaw ng maraming manggagawa na nawalan ng hanap buhay o ang ilan ay nabawasan ng kita dahil sa ipinatupad na lockdown. Iba naman ang pananaw rito ng Private Hospitals Group na nanggigiit na panatilihin muna ang MECQ sa NCR+. Ayon kay Dr. Jose Rene Grano, Pangulo ng Private Hospitals Associations of the Philippines Incorporated, kung sila ang tatanungin, nais pa nilang mapalawig ang MECQ sa NCR Plus para mas bumaba pa ang kaso ng COVID-19. Well, sabi nga niya, kung tatanungin kami, kung pwedeng kahit 1 linggo pa, extend na lang. But then, nasa kanila desisyon. Baka magagawa nila na mga flexible na gaya ng ginagawa nila ngayon. Sinabi pa ni De Grano na medyo nabawasan na nga ang bilang ng mga COVID-19 patient maliban sa ilang mga nasa intensive care unit. Ayun, hindi pa buo pero nabawasan. Well, tinanggal na ni Presidente Duterte ang maraming government officials. Ito po, pinangalanan, babanggitin natin pangalan ng mga government officials involved allegedly in corruption. Maririnig niyo po ang mga pangalan niyan sa pagbabalik ng News at 4. Sandali lamang po.
Are you an international student who has recently graduated from a Canadian post-secondary school? If you have graduated from a designated learning institution, you could be eligible to apply for permanent residency under the new pathway set out by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. Contact Genesis Immigration Consulting.
Well, nagbabalik po ang ating News at 4. Ito pa rin po inyong kaibigan Mon Datol. At salamat po sa lahat pa rin ng ating mga caregivers, mga health workers na patuloy pong nakikipagsagupan sa di nakikitang kaaway. Marami na pong tinamaan yan. Kaya po ingat-ingat pa rin po tayo. Huwag po tayong titigil na pagsunod sa health protocols na pinaiiral Hindi lang dito sa Canada, sa Pilipinas at iba pong bahagi ng mundo. Okay, nagtanggal na si Duterte ng mga officials involved allegedly in corruption. Ito po ang istorya niyan. President Rodrigo Duterte last night said that he has fired several government officials because of their alleged involvement in corruption. In a tape address, Duterte said this does not mean that the government has gotten rid of corruption, as this has become a problem in every administration. Well, there's still corruption in this government and any other government that will come after me. And in the past, mayroon talaga yan. Sabi ni Duterte, it will also be possible to eradicate corruption in the government. If there is a running bureaucracy and there is money involved and there are a lot of tables where the papers would go through, there will always be corruption, Duterte said. He also announced the names of the fired official. Number 1, Preciosa Polonia, OIC, Land Management Officer 3, City Environment and Natural Resources, DENR Office, Albuera Town, Leyte, for the alleged issuance of free patent in favor of a disqualified applicant. Naku, tindi nun. Number 2, Sakarudin Magarang, Regional Executive Director of DENR Region 12, for grave misconduct and the alleged involvement in serious irregularities in the issuance of free patent titles. Next, number 3, Amante Burbano, special investigator of the DENR, as his conduct was supposedly prejudicial to the best interest of the service and the alleged falsification of public documents and alleged involvement in the residential free patent application. Next, Maria Baby Ruth Nicolas, staff, Senro, Giginto, Bulacan, DENR Region 3, for grave misconduct and conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service for allegedly undertaking illegal fixing transaction. Naku, lobbyist, fixer, yun, nadali. As a posting time, the news said could not independently verify the allegation made against the official. In 2016, Duterte won the presidency campaigning on a promise to fight corruption, crime, and illegal drugs. Last year, Duterte ordered the Department of Justice to investigate the entire government for corruption until the end of his term in 2020. Naku po. Pero ang tingin ko rito, panay maliliit itong nadali. Ha? Hindi ba pwedeng makakana? Ika nga, ha? Makadali ng isang secretary dyan, kahit assistant secretary, ang nakakana, panay fixer. Ay yung mabababang pwesto. Ba't hindi makana yun sa Bureau of Custom? Ilang director bang, alam nga namang ang madadali lang doon, yung mga driver, yung mga nagdadala ng dokumento, table sa table. Hindi po ang pinakamalaking kinikita dyan, yung mga direktor. Ha? Yung pong, sarili ko pong paniniwala. Ha? Bureau Custom, Commissioner. Ha? Naku, saan ka naman nakakita? Driver lang doon nun ang hindi na, ang kinikita may sariling Mustang, nakasirat sa condominium. Pag ganun kasi magkano lang sinusweldo doon? 15,000 naman, makakabili ng 1.2 million condominio. Nang ating sinasabi, hindi mahuli-huli naman yung mga amo niyan. Yan ang malalaki takitats. Sabi nga ni Mayor Isko, mga tongpats. Nabubutas na bulsa sa damit bigat ng pera, hindi pa nahuhuli. Kadaling hulihin yan Palakarin nyo, sundan nyo lang yan, mabagal maglakad dyan. Bakit mabagal? Punong-puno ng rapapips yung bulsa niyan eh. Hindi makakalakad na mabilis yan. Pag may dala pang attache case yan, hindi niya mabuhat-buhat yung dalawang attache case. Puno ng pere. Kaya alam naman nyo sa Pilipinas, 5 million, 10 million, kumakasya yun sa isang attache case eh. Paano kanyo? Panay 1,000 na pera nun eh. Ilang libo ba yung 1,000,000? O di ko konti lang bungkus na pera yun. O, kaya lagayan na kasi. Sa Bureau of Customs, naku po. Nung araw, 5 bulig ka lang eh. Ibig sabihin, 5,000 lang. Ayos na eh. Ngayon, hindi. 5,000 ka lang. 1,000,000. Million. Nako, tapos ito, mababasa natin to. Hindi sa aking kinukuhan si Presidente Duterte. Hanga ako sa kanya. Nagtatanggal talaga siya. Pero bakit puro mababa yata ito? Hindi ka makakita po. Tatay Digong, natanggalin yung... siguro, rekomendasyon lang to. Para may masabi ka, Sir, bossing, amo, tanggalin mo na to para malaman nila, nagtatanggal tayo ng nangungurakot. Kung ako kay Tatay Digong, nagsasalita sa akin, kung ng tatanggalin ko, tarantodits ka, ikaw ang magnanakaw, si baka. Ba't alam mo ang mga magnanakaw to? Ang mga magnanakaw, takot at kilala ang mga kasama niyang magnanakaw. O diba? Lintik, nak ng dragon, ika nga natin. Sisibakin ko yun dahil kilala niya ang mga magnanakaw eh. Ang magnanakaw, takot yan sa kapwa magnanakaw. Iniiwasan niya. Kaya maraming snitch dyan sa gobyerno. Hindi ba? Yun lang po ang ating masasabi dyan. Ang liliit ng napagtatanggal. Kumbaga sa isdang huhulihin, imbis na tilapia, gurame, nakakana. Gurame, mga biya. Yung pinakamaliliit. Ang nahuhuli, liliit na nga, nahuhuli pa. Dapat nakakawala dun sa mga huli ng isda. Yun eh. Yung panakakana. Yung panaki. Well, super spreaded campaign event. Ayan, ako, election na talaga. Babaguhin doon ng Commission on Election. Eto, para maiwasan ng super spreader event sa panahon ng kampanya, magpapatupad umano ng pagbabago ang Commission on Election or COMELEC sa uri ng pangangampanya ng mga partido at kandidato para sa darating na 2022 presidential elections. Sinabi ni COMELEC Commissioner Antonio Co na magkakaroon ng mga pagbabago dahil sa sitwasyon na COVID-19 na kung saan magiging super spreader ng virus ang mga pagtitipon tulad ng mga political rallies. Tama. Yung mga kampanya where the candidates will be there, rallies, etc., hindi na yan kagaya nung dati. Kasi alam mo naman, kinatatakutan natin dito yung super spreader event. Nawawala kasi social distancing pag ganong mga kampanya-kampanya. Alright, sinabi naman ni COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez na kabilang sa restriksyon na ipatutupad nila ang limitadong bilang ng mga pwedeng dumalo sa mga political events at mahigpit ang pagkapatupad na palagi ang nakasuot ng face mask at face shield. Ayan. Mas tutol naman ng Department of Health sa anumang uri ng pagtitipon sa panahon ng kampanya at halalan hanggang maliit o rather maliliit na bahagi pa lamang ng populasyon ang nababakunahan. Ang eleksyon po sa Pilipinas, mga kababayan, May 9, 2022. Pero ang filing of candidacy po, October 1 to 8 or 1 to 18 or whatever. After makapag-file na ng candidacy, umpisa na ng kampanya yun, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. O ayun, 6 months. Maniwala kayo. Yung mga mayayaman dyan, tatakbo ng presidente, vice president at mga senador. Maniwala kayo, magpatawag kayo ng mga meeting dyan. Sa Plaza Miranda tayo, kailangan meron tayong 10,000 napapalakpak at sisigaw. Ayaw na po Bakit teka? Magbibigay naman tayo sa 1,000 bawat tao. O yun, magpupuntahan yan. Pero hihingi ng face mask at face shield, bigyan nyo. Yan. May mga huhuli pong mga Department of Health agents dyan. Bawal ang social distancing. Ang kakasya lang po ron, 1,000. Bigyan nyo rin yung mga pipigil at uhuli. Ano tayo? Colombia? Nasagad nung araw yung mga kartel. Laking katarantaduhan naman. Anak ng dragon naman buhay ito. Ang Pilipinas po, kilala yan bilang number 1 sa politika. O di po ba? Sino ba nakakaisip na magbayad ng butante? Kundi nung araw. Saan nung araw hindi? Yung mga butante pa nagbibigay ng tulong pinansyal sa mga kandidato. Nung araw yun. O sino pa ang pinakamagaling na presidente na naging presidente ng Pilipinas nung araw? Ramon Magsaysay. Digay ang tawag yan. O? Ang dami-dami na pong lumabas na survey. Pinakamagaling na presidente ng Pilipinas. 3 lumabas. Number 1, Ramon Magsaysay. Number 2, Ferdinand Marcos. Number 3, Rodrigo Duterte. Yung iba, walay. Nabasa ko lang po yun, ha? Pero ako naniniwala, pinakamagaling yung Ramon Magsaysay. Bakit ika nyo? Hindi dahil sa ninong ko yun. Ay, yan, DJ Ricky. Nag-iisang ninong ko sa binyag yun. Ramon, aray ko, nasabid tuloy ako. Sinapok tuloy ako ng ninong ko. Pero siya po, ang pinakamagaling. Na naging presidente, nababasa po yan sa history. Ngayon, mag-i-election na naman, hindi naman tatakbo si Tatay Digong Duterte. Sinabi na nga ni Antonio Trillanes, tatakbo akong presidente. Huy, talaga, sabi. Kapag hindi tumakbo si Vice President Leni, pinalabas pa niya si Leni Robredo, tatakbong gobernador ng Kamsur. Taga rin yun makakalaban niya si El Rey Villapuerte, ang Villapuerte family, na matagal na pong naghahari sa probinsya ng Camarines Sur. Patatakbihin mo si Leni, baka doon lang matalo yun. Alam mo, kanya-kanya pong racket yan pag eleksyon Sinasabi nga po natin, basta tumakbo kang presidente, maniwala ka, makakatanggap ka ng bilyong ayuda. Nako, ewan ko kung mangyayari itong sinasabi ng COMELEC na social distancing sa kampanya. Saka bawal ang kamay-kamay. Maniwala kayo, lahat ng kandidati humahalik pa sa mga bata. Hindi ba? Nakita mo na ba ng araw yung kampanya di DJ Ricky Q? Pag may nakitang bata dun sa karsada yung kandidato, bababa sa sasakyan, hahalikan yung bata. Pag maganda-ganda yung nanay, pati nanay, nung bata hinahalikan. Di ba? Naknandagon yan ang mga kampanya sa Pilipinas. Sino tatalo dyan? Kanya-kanyang paraan lang yan. Racket lang yan. Kaya ito, ewan po natin. Subukan nating tingnan. Anyway, malayo pa naman yan. Pero as far as the politicos are concerned, malapit na po ang halalan. Di po ba? Kaya nga, ito, nagpasiklab na. Tatakbo na si Trillanes as president kapag hindi tumakbo si Leni Robredo o Manny Pacquiao. Ang intensyon niyan tumakbo, handyan na. Of course, Bongbong Marcos, tatakbo yan. Alang makapipigil dyan. Kahit yung ambulansyang narinig ko sa labas, hindi kayang isakay si Bongbong dyan para pigilin tumakbo. Sino pa ba tatakbo? Pag si Sara Duterte nakipag-partner kay Bongbong Marcos, kahit sino ilaban nyo, walang mananalo. Pero sa tambalang yun, it's Bongbong and Sara. Unbeatable, mga kababayan. Kahit na pagsama-samahin mo yung ibang mga kandidato. Pag tumakbo si Sara, si Sara kasi ayaw hindi pa naman siya talaga, bata pa naman yun nabibigyan mo pa ng 12 years yan 40 lang yan, 52 years old, saka mag-president. Diyos ko day, nandargon, sino tatalo dyan? Yan ang papalit na presidente ng Pilipinas. Ngayon, sa next year, marami pong humula. Lalaki magiging presidente. Di lalaki. Kaya nga, nagpahula na rin siguro si Inday. Sabi niya, ayoko munang tumakbo, tatay. Ayun saka ayaw ni tatay Digong na patakbuhin si Inday. Wag muna ngayon. Marami pa namang taon. Alright. Naku, sana nga po. Super spreader campaign event. Yung sinasabi pong super spreader, malakas makahawa po yung napakaraming taong tabi-tabi. Ganyan na nangyari doon sa community pantry ni Angel Oxin. Meron pong 10,000 dumating. Ngayon, ang naging problema, ilan lang po yung na kuna ng swab test yata at merong nag-positive. Hindi nila alam ngayon kung saan hahanapin yung napakaraming yun. Hindi lang taga Quezon City, may mga dumating galing ng Bulacan, kain lang Laguna, galing ng Antipolo, ng Rizal. Kaya nung naging problema ngayon ng Kwan. Kaya, tapos, nawala na balita, DJ Ricky. Dati kakasuhan si Angel Oxin, yan, nawala Lumabas, kaibigan matalik pala ito ng mayor ng Quezon City. Di kakasuhan mo ba yung best friend mo na nagamit mo tuwing election? Kaya kalimutan na yan, yung sinasabing kakasuhan siya. Ako gusto ko kasuhan Pagtanggol niya sarili niya May namatay na isang senior citizen. Kapabayaan yun Para ka lang, ikaw, nagmamaneho ka ng sasakyan, nakasagasa. Namatay. Homicide through reckless imprudence yun doon ba sa pantry, hindi pwede yun? Baka naman natanggal na ano ba yung naiisip ko? Ayaw ni Mother Elena Garcia. Nanonood pala si Mother Elena Garcia. Tita Ses, pagaling ka. I know you're watching us right now. At any rate, sana, tingnan po natin. Pag nagkampanyahan na sa presidential election, sarap nito, sarap manood. Si Willie Revilla ba, iboboto nyo as senador kung tatakbo? Si Coco Martin ba, na nagbigay na ng kanyang tatakbo, tatapusin na raw yata yung ang probinsyano sa isang taon after the election. Ba't niya, kung tatakbo siya, hindi niya pwedeng tapusin yung ang probinsyano. Yun ang hatak ng tao niya Di ba, DJ Ricky? Kung tatakbo kang senador, Coco, tatandaan mo lang, chichirichit alibambang. Huwag mong tapusin yung ang probinsyano para manalo ka. Kayo po ba, mga nakikinig sa atin? Makaboboto po tayo, nasa abroad. Ako bumoboto ko. Pag sa abroad, pinadadala sa akin ng Comelec yung aking balote through mail. Iboboto nyo ba si Coco? Ako hindi ko iboboto yan Pero hindi ko dinidis-qualify siya. Qualified. Hindi ko sinasabing matatalo yan. Pwedeng manalo. Ang sa akin lang, hindi ko iboboto. Ako nga, nagkamali, binoto ko si Lito Lapid nun kasi Leon Guerrero, bumabaril yung ganyan sa punyal nahahati yung bale. 2 patay na tulisan binoto ko. Believe ka. Alam mo mga Pilipino, naku, iboboto ko yan. Ang galing pumatay ng hapon yan yung gano'n, mga movie. Kaya nanalo yung Lito Lapid. Ngayon, patakbuhin mo. Hindi naman nanalo yan. Wala na siya sa probinsyano Willie Revilla mananalo yan. Kapag tumakbo, tulong yan yung Rapi Tulpo. Palagay mo ba, DJ Ricky, matatalo yon? 20.4 million ang viewers. 20.4 sa YouTube. I-times 2 mo. Yung 20.4 point na yun May asawa yun Yung iba, dalaga, pero may nanay at tatay. Times 2 mo na lang. 40 million, number 1 sa Senado yan. Pero pag tumakdong presidente, hindi mananalo. Hindi naman nakukuha sa pasikatan yung pagiging presidente. At ang tingin ko rito, yung iba pong mga subscriber ni Rapi Tulfo, hindi siya ibobotong senador. Pag nanalong senador yan, bibitawan na niya yung kanyang RTA in action eh. Sino ipapalit mo? Si Atty. Tunggol? O yung babae? Wala na pong lakas yun. Walang ng karisma yun. Iba yung karisma nung Rapi Tulfo. Kung ako kay Rapi, ba't ako tatakbo? Kingmaker na lang ako. Iba yung kingmaker ka. Pag nandun ka na sa Senado, bibirahin ka ng maraming kritiko. Pag tumakbo ka, lahat ng baho mo lilitaw, aamoy. Kahit katago-tago mo, ibang politika. Hayaan mo na yung ganyan ka. Saludo nga ako kay Rapi Tulfo, kaliwat kay Ben Tulfo. At saka doon yung Erwin. Hindi ko masyadong yung Erwin eh. Ang nakabarkada ko po kasi, yung panganay nila, si Ramon, yung tokayo ko, Mon Tulfo. 1986, 87, 88, 89, nung ako po yung sports writer. Pag Biyernes ng gabi, meron po kaming Friday night. Kasama ko si Manny Piñol, Recat Trinidad, ayan, Rene Portaleza. Doon po sa maliit na bar ni Kapitan na Espirito. Ayan. Sa Late, ika nga natin, si Ermita. Sa likod ng Ninoy Aquino Stadium, may Late po doon yung doon kami nagkikita-kita. Pag Friday night, Montulfo, ang dami nag-aabang doon. Sa Montulfo, nangihingi ng yung business card. Hindi kaya na si Idol Mon. Akala ko ako Mon din ako. Montulfo pala. Pag pumaparada na kami ron, sunod-sunod yung aming sasakyan, Montulfo. Sana ito, Recat Trinidad, Eddie Alinea, Manny Piñol. Nandyan, kami magkakasama nung araw. At any rate, sana nga po, mawala na itong COVID para sa kampanya po. Alam nyo, iba yung presidential election sa Pilipinas po eh. Kahit mga taga-foreign media, foreign press, inaabangan yan. Every 6 years po ang eleksyon ng presidente sa Pilipinas. Alright. Well, inapurbahan na po ng World Health Organization ang Sinopharm. Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine. Aba, ito yung tinuro kay Presidente Duterte na kinwestiyon ng mga kritiko. Ito po istoryang yan. Deadline, Geneva, Switzerland, May 13. The World Health Organization today approved the Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine for emergency use. The first Chinese jab to receive the WHO's green light. Okay. The UN Health Agency signed off on the 2-dose vaccine, which is already being deployed in dozens of countries around the world. The WHO has already given emergency use listing to the vaccines being made by Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and the AstraZeneca jab being produced at sites in India and in South Korea, which it counts separately. This afternoon, the World Health Organization gave emergency use listing to Sinopharm's Beijing's COVID-19 vaccine, making it the 6th vaccine to receive WHO validation for safety, efficacy, and quality. World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus told a news conference the Strategic Advisor Group of Experts on Immunization, or SAGS, has also reviewed the available data and recommends the vaccine for adults 18 years and older with a 2-dose schedule. Ayan po. Lots of other vaccines are on the road towards WHO emergency use listing. A WHO decision is expected within days on Sinovac, a second Chinese-made vaccine already being used in 22 territories. Ayan. Approving Sputnik 5 could happen after that, but it depends on the inspections made, or rather being made, and the dossiers being completed. Nako, 6 pa lang pala ang talagang legally approved ng World Health Organization. Biruin mo yung Sinopharm. Kung maraming sa Pilipinas kumwestiyon, yan kasi ang itinurok sa PSG at kay Presidente Duterte. Pinababalik pa sa China, yan inapurbahan ng World Health Organization. Yung emergency use, yun ang ginamit ni Presidente Duterte. Through the emergency use. Yun, approved na sa World Health Organization. Ano pa ngayon ang masasabi ng mga kritiko? Marami po kasi nagdudunong-dunungan. Hindi naman sila mga health expert. Ika nga natin, hindi sila doktor, hindi sila. Kamukha po ng dalawang mambabatas na nagpapamigay ng libreng ivermectin sa mga senior citizen pa. Maraming mga sumang-ayon sa kanila, naku, ivermectin, okay yan, panggamot yan. Hindi po panggamot sa COVID-19. Anyways, ang World Health Organization lamang po ang pwedeng magbigay ng legal, acceptable sa lahat ng bansa ng mga dapat na vaccine na pwedeng gamitin sa buong mundong member. Mga bansa po, member ng World Health Organization dapat sundin natin yun. Kahit nga ang Pilipinas dapat sumunod dun ba't kasi Presidente Duterte nagpaturok ng Sinopharm for emergency use? Yun na nga, emergency use. Ba't pababalik mo pa ngayon sa China yung ilan libong? I-donate na nga ng China sa atin. Or rather sa Pilipinas. Tumutulong na, gusto pang girahin. Anak ng dragon, sino mananalo sa gera sa China pag sa West Philippine Sea? Gaganapin yun. Bakit mo gigirahin ang kapitbahay mo na tumutulong sa'yo? Simply because of dirty politics sa Pilipinas? Malapit na po kasi kampanya ng presidential dyan ng presidential election next year. Ilang buwan na lang po yan. Mayo na ngayon o Mayo 9 sa next year, isang taon na lang, election na. 8 months o 6 months to 8 months ang kampanya. Hindi naman tatakbong presidente si Duterte. Siyempre, iba po kasi yung ituturo ni presidente, ikaw, at tanging ikaw lamang ang i-endorso ko. Ang daming nangihingi na endorsement ni presidente. Nangunguna na nga dyan si Pacquiao Birong pinuntahan, nakiusap. Ang nangyari po, tinanggihan siya. Hindi pa magbibigay ng endorsement si Presidente. Si Pacquiao, ang acting president ng PDB Laban. Si Presidente Duterte, ang chairman. Pareha sila ng partido. Bakit hindi in-endorse si Pacquiao ni Duterte? Hindi pa oras para i-endorse. Paano naman yung iba pang qualified? Hindi lang naman sa PDB Laban dapat mag-endorse si Presidente. Yung malalaman po natin yan as we go along. Alright, ang ating huling balita, Philippine remittance cost. Wow, among the lowest, sabi ng World Bank. Sending money to the Philippines remains among the cheapest globally, benefiting an economy reliant on remittances sent by OFWs, the World Bank said. In its latest migration and development brief, the World Bank said remittances charges to the Philippines cost less than 5% or $10 for every $200 transfer. Maliit nga, hindi ako nagpapadala ng pera sa Pilipinas. Kaya hindi ko alam ang rate. Nalalaman ko lang yan nung sponsor natin yung remittance dyan. Ganito ang babayad per $100. Hindi ba? Ganon. Ewan ko kung si Tito Ricky nagpapadala ng pera. Ay, hindi rin. Para kung papadala, yung pera mo andyan na sa mga bata. At saka sa nanay ng bata. Di ba? Well, the Philippines maintained the lowest remittance fees in the fourth quarter of last year on money sent by OFWs from Singapore, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, and Spain. On the other hand, the South Africa to China corridor has the highest cost for remitting cash at close to 20% for 200. Ang mahal naman nun. $20 yun. Sa 200. Aba. Thailand to China and Thailand to Indonesia came in next roughly 15%, while Thailand to Vietnam and Japan to Thailand range between 10 to 15%. Based on the World Bank report, the Philippines last year ranked 4th in the world in terms of remittance inflows with, eto po, pakinggan nyo, magkano? $35 billion. US yan. Ganun karami. Hindi pa po kasama dun yung pinadadala sa kumpare, sa kumare, sa kaibigan. Pare, ito, pakidaan mo na sa Pilipinas para hindi na ako magbayad ng remittance fee. O, di ba? Ilang daang libong dolyar din yun. Ha? Well, ang India po naman pinakamataas, $83 billion. China, $60 billion, and Mexico, $43 billion, but outpaced Egypt's. Lamang tayo, Egypt po, $30 billion, Pakistan, $26 billion, and Bangladesh, $22 billion. Ayan. In February, the Bank Central ng Pilipinas said remittances managed to defy the odds by slipping less than 1% to 33.19 billion in 2020, from 33.47 billion in 2019. Around 40% of the remittances were sent by OFWs from the US, followed by Singapore, Saudi Arabia, Japan, and the United Kingdom. Wala ang Canada. Ngayon ko lang nalaman ko konti ang nagpapadalang OFW sa Canada. Sa kanilang siguro na pandemic, dami na wala na trabaho rito. At any rate, sinasaluduhan po natin lahat ng mga OFWs. Kayo po ang mga bagong bayani ng bayan. $35 billion ang pinadadala niyo po sa legal means. Sabi ko, baka 37 billion yun eh. Yung ibang mga padala. Pag malas ka lang, yung padadala mong nakasobre, na ipang sabong ni kumpare. Para hindi ko napadala, bayaran ko na lang niya pagbalik ko. Diyos ko, dahil ng Daragon. At any rate, maraming salamat po sa ating mga kababayan patuloy pong sumusubaybay sa Tom's Radio Toronto, Tom's Radio Toronto website po yan. Sa amin pong Facebook, Tom's Space Radio. Ayan, ito pa inyong kaibigan hanggang bukas na muli sa ating Balitang Bayan Biyernes. Mondatol in behalf of our DJ Direct Ricky Q. Ito po si Mondatol. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat.
Are you an international student who has recently graduated from a Canadian post-secondary school? If you have graduated from a designated learning institution, you could be eligible to apply for permanent residency under the new pathway set out by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. Contact Genesis Immigration Consulting